We are taking inspiration today from the world of quilting and making some quilt blocks journal cards. Aren't these cool? My name is Cindy. Welcome to my channel. And I got this inspiration from, this is an old quilting magazine. A friend of mine gave it to me thinking I could cut it up and use it. I have not yet done that, but in this 7-Day Quilts, Make a Full-Size Quilt in a Week by Rita Weiss, there is this pattern. It's called Roses Galore. If I were to make the whole quilt as a quilt, it's 88 by 100 inches. I'm not making the whole quilt. I'm making a block, and I have adapted it for my size. So these are 5 inches by 5 inches in square. And the insides, I'll put this here for those of you who want to, here, I'll put it right there so we get it. I think you can take a screenshot of that. I want to bring it up so that you can see it better. There you go. So you can see it. So the base is 5 by 5. The squares, there are 2 squares that you're going to need. Those are 2.5 by 2.5. And then the inside squares are 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. And let's go. Let's take a look. I did do these differently. So on this one, I cut 4 squares. And then I put the 4 squares together. And I did not like how difficult that made it. I also did slightly smaller inside squares because this was my prototype. This was my first attempt at doing it. My second attempt, I did better. And in my second attempt, I took a piece of cardstock. This, I just had a piece of computer paper, and I put everything on top of a piece of computer paper. And I like it. It came out nice and whatnot, but it was, if you can see really close, getting that inside part to line up, not so easy. So before this goes into a journal, I think I might stick like a die cut rose or something over the top of that, something to cover up the fact that I didn't quite get it straight in the middle. This one, however, because I used a solid sheet on the bottom and then just did 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares, it came out much better. I also did the 1 3/4. I wrote it here in that type of writing, but I would do it with the fractions, the 3/4 fractions, 3/4. Yeah, I'm old-fashioned. What can I say? The doing it with the decimals is a little more difficult for me. So this one I liked better. I did this is the slightly larger inside square. I liked it better because I did it in white. I then used a stamp on it and stamped it. So this one is going to, however, go into my idea book because I just used scraps of white for that. And so let's see how to make them. Let's stop talking and see how to make them. So for this, if you want to work along with me, you are going to need some scraps. I'm using up a couple of old 6x6s that I've had these hanging around for ages. They're yellowing, so it's time to use them up. So I'm going to use these. I'm going to need glue, and that's it. That's really all you need. You need some scraps and you need some glue. This one I made completely out of scraps. This one was also out of scraps, but they were slightly larger pieces that I had left over from a project. So, but the one I'm going to do with you guys, I'm using a 6x6. So to start with, I'm actually going to use this one as my base. I don't think it really matters. These came, just so you know, these came out of this pack. It is called Honeydew from Craftsmith. It doesn't have a year on it, but I can tell you that this is really old. I've had this at least 10 years, probably longer. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it down to 5 by 5. We're going to start there. So cutting it down to a 5 by 5. Of course, we always keep our extra pieces. Now, do I have to do this with a 6x6? No, I told you I used other pieces for the other. Okay, so there's my base. There's my 5 by 5. And let me show you why a 5 by 5 because a 5x5 still fits into a journal. It is, and in fact, if I do it this way with this one, because I put a tab on this one, my tab sticks out a little bit, but I don't care. So I'm doing this with 5x5s. So there's my 5x5. And then I want this for my squares. So my squares are, I'm probably off camera. Let me grab that. My squares are 2.5 by 2.5. So I'm going to cut this down to 2.5. There's a nice big piece that I can use later. And then I'm going to cut this side to 2.5. So there's one of my squares, and then another 2.5. So I want 2.5s that match. All right. That is being sticky today. There it goes. Get that out of the way. So I now have my, let's set that aside for a minute. So you can see where we're going with this. We're just going to put these here and here. Now you can use whatever patterns you want. This is a quilt, so you can, or we're going on a quilting pattern. So, you know, you do what you need to do. As far as patterns go, you mix and match to your heart's content. I'm not good at mixing patterns. When I was a kid, I had a twill skirt that had, you know, kind of like, I don't want to say polka dots, but there were, you know, tufts of fabric in different colors in it. And I paired that twill, I guess it was probably a herringbone pattern to the skirt, wool, and I paired it with a plaid blouse. Oh, my mother made me go change my clothes. She said, you cannot put those two different patterns together. You cannot put a herringbone twill with a plaid top. I didn't see why not. The same colors were in both. I liked it. But at that point, I realized I don't necessarily match patterns together well. So, you know, you do what you do. All right, so there's my base. That's it. That was it. I just simply glued the 2.5 by 2.5 pieces onto my 5x5. It was so much easier to do it this way than to cut 4 of these and try to pattern them in. So that's how we're starting. Now I have my other pattern. This is what's going to go on the other pieces, and this is 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. So I'm going to go 1 3/4. Now I've got that big piece I can leave over there. Move that out of the way. Sorry, I don't have a lot of room at the moment. 1 3/4. And we'll get another one of 1 3/4. That's my extra. We'll put it aside. And now I have a choice. I can put them here and here, or I can put them here and here, and which is what I think I want to do. This one, see, this one's very busy. And my mother would look at this and say, really? What are you, Cynthia Dupre, what are you doing? You just, and I'm going to kind of accentuate the fact that these are already yellowed. And I'm going to go ahead. Now you could do this with the other patterns, the other pieces that you put here as well. You know me, I'm always forgetting to do this. So I'm using archival ink at this point, vintage photo. Okay. Now I have to decide which way I want my diagonals to go. I like this. Oh, I like how that's going to line up in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that one down. So we are in Mixed Media March. If you are, make sure you have subscribed to the channel and that you have the notifications bell on, because every day I will be posting a photograph of, I'm trying to line that up a little bit better because there is a definite line here on there that I can use to guide. But yeah, I'm posting a photo of my mixed media March. There it is. So make sure you have the bell clicked so that you can see what else I'm doing this month. I did post a video on Saturday to explain the project, but then mostly I'm not doing videos. I'm going to mostly just do regular videos throughout the course of the month. Okay, when you put your diamond down, it does touch all four sides. So there we go. Now I can consider this completed. I could add a tab to it. I could add stickers or something in the other squares, or I could leave them just blank. But that will fit very nicely into my journal. There's the measurements again. I'll throw that one away. That piece is finished. So I hope you're enjoying yourselves. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Click the like button to let YouTube know that you like them. And on this Maker Monday, I hope you're having a good day. This is Cindy signing off.